Most definitely, we could speak at length about what has happened so far in 2020, how what has happened has changed the racing industry. We're not together today. You are at your business and I'm at mine. We're not enjoying Indianapolis and seeing all the wonderful things there are to be seen. While people are debating what's going to happen with the 2021 racing season, the question at hand is, what are you going to do about business? Hence the title of today's presentation, Disrupting or Prompting, Does This Affect How You Approach Business? But this is not the first time that business has had a drastic change to it. Over the years, there have been a lot of things for those of us who've been in business for many years. For example, in the 1950s, the concept of shopping in general changed because we had those suburban strip centers begin to show up. And then in the 1960s, we had the mass merchants begin to show up on the scene. By the 1960s, we also had enclosed malls that people could go to. And then in 1971, a big disruptor for everybody was the beginning of FedEx, the ability to ship a product cross-country as quickly as possible. And that tied in with 1994, when all of a sudden, all kinds of other people could get into business competing with us, and they did not even have to have a brick and mortar place for a customer to come in and see things. That disrupted how we went and did business. More recently, we've had other things. For example, what happened after 9/11 and the changes that occurred to how business was done at that point. And then let's go a little bit further, the Great Recession. Remember that one with the housing burst and the fact that people weren't spending money, and how long it was after 2008 that it took business to kind of begin to come back to normal. And then we've got this year, 2021, with the COVID-19, the pandemic, the virus. And as you see from this copy in the magazine, the idea that tracks for many didn't open, some did open, some had very different racing schedules. It was all kinds of challenges. But this isn't the first time that this has happened, and this is the point I want to make to people. This isn't the first time that we've had a big challenge. You can tell by my hair color here, I'm not exactly a youngster, and I can remember this event happening when I was a kid. My dad would tell me this story in trying to teach me about business. He said, once upon a time, there was a game being played. And the batter steps up to the box, the pitcher throws, and there's a hit. The ball goes out between right and center fielder. The batter runs to first base, turns the corner, heads for second. The right fielder has picked up the ball, thrown it into the second baseman. And as the runner is sliding into second base, and the second baseman is trying to make the tag with the ball, the umpire comes running up, as shown in our picture here, holds up two fingers in the air like this and goes, "Second down." And I would hear my dad tell me that story, and I'd go, "I don't get it. What's this about?" He says, "We're not playing by the same rules anymore. Business is changing." I don't want to tell you how many years old that story is, but business is continuing to change, but maybe never as drastic as it occurred to us starting in March of 2020 and what we're experiencing here at December of 2020. So my question, do all these things that happen, do they disrupt how you do business? Or are they prompting you to look at the situation and finding ways to do something different? So here's what I've seen since March. I see three kinds of businesses out there. I'm going to tell you my first group of businesses. I call them the homers. Okay, so what did the homers do? The homers shut down their businesses. Now, in many situations, we were required for a period of time by state law or city law to shut down. But even after we were allowed to open, I know people with restaurants that have just decided, no, I'm not coming back for now. I have a friend who owns a health grocery store who to this point still has not opened, and yet puts a sign on the window that says, "If you want something, call me and I'll drive down here and open the store for you." And he just shut it down. People who have said, well, this just disrupts how we do business. We can't do business the way that we do business. So they sit on the sidelines. They're seeing what's happening, what's going on out there. And with a bunch of businesses, they go, never mind, I just quit. I'm going home, that's it. Within the first week of the pandemic, I saw multiple businesses who just said, that's it. Businesses that had been in around between 30 and 60 years, just saying, you know, when we get to open again, we're just going to call it quits. We're going to have a giant closing up sale. That's it. We're through. I saw restaurants that had been around a long time that said, no, that's it. We quit at this point. That's my first group of people. My second group of people, I call them the Plow Hands. So with the folks who are the Plow Hands, they are doing what they've always been doing. They're not changing a thing about it. They continue to get out there with this advertising as to here's the item, here's the price. But I argue with you, did you not notice during the pandemic, as it first started, drugstores and grocery stores had no sales flyers? You were just thrilled that they were there. But these businesses never changed anything. I saw just the other day a restaurant that said, come in and try our buffet line. I'm hoping that sign has been there since February and they've just forgotten to take it down. Or we have a hotel in the area who is saying, hold your meetings here at our place. And then they're saying, you may have people who are coming to your meeting who need a place to stay, so stay in our hotel. And by the way, come try our free breakfast buffet. And you want to come to our restaurant that night and try that buffet. And I'm thinking, hello, are you not paying attention to what's going on out there in the world? Okay, we can't do these things. But these businesses are expecting the same customers to keep showing up the way they have. And they're just going to wait this out, doing the same thing over and over and over. The Plow Hands keep doing what they've done. And then there's this third group. Okay, well, being a Southerner, I thought this was a very appropriate name for them. I call them the Hold My Beer crowd. So what are the Hold My Beer crowds doing? Hold My Beer crowds says there's a shift. Everything in the world has shifted because of what's gone on. You know what? This is a real opportune time for us to do something that's just going to change everything. Why? Because people at this point are shopping differently. Now, I realize that we're not the normal shopping thing, like a person walking into a mall or walking into a strip center. But we have to realize that the person who is out there buying our racing gear are the same people at some point in time who are walking into a mall and going shopping. Some of the things that I'm going to suggest today, remember, they've already experienced it with other people. How many of us have visited with our doctor by way of Zoom? How many of us last March had even heard of Zoom or GoToMeeting and some of the things that we're now being forced to do and go to differently? People are spending money differently. They are spending it for what they necessarily need and also what they want to spend. And there are some businesses out there that are greatly challenged, and there's some businesses out there going gangbusters. For example, right off the bat, golf went down to nothing. Now it's going like crazy. Somehow or another, in most of our states, liquor stores have been declared a necessity. When I last spoke to someone from the national magazine in the industry, he told me that overall, the liquor business was up 54%, and online sales for liquor was up 240%. Yet there are states, and as each state has their own different liquor laws, I've ran into a couple of states that have a problem because restaurants and bars have to buy from the liquor stores. Well, you can see that whole chunk of business has gotten destroyed. See, everything's different. Everything's changing out there. Especially now that we have time, that if we're working from home, what are we going to do with our recreational time? Are we going to be like golf? I hope so, that we're going to engage people. Are we going to be like the bicycle industry? After the pandemic got going, you couldn't buy a bicycle somewhere. There's an opportunity for people to do things, and yet the sad part was I saw bicycle shops that completely shut down. Didn't make sense to me at all. So let's look at this thing. The Covid-19 virus, okay? I have to ask the question of many people, why is it that we have to have this crisis to all of a sudden become creative or learn new things. Why can't we keep doing this all the time? I mean, some examples. I've seen restaurants that began to sell groceries. A friend of mine who's got a neat little diner, it's been on that Diner Dive and Drive-In show, and he's out selling hand sanitizers and rolls of toilet paper. When people can't buy it in stores, he's bought it from his suppliers and is selling out front. It's a way to get people to come into his restaurant. I've seen restaurants that went to shutdown mode, but what they did to keep part of their staff employed and to have something to get money coming in, begin to package their meals, put a cooler in someone else's store, like a hardware store, and sold pre-packaged meals that way. Make a nice sticker, it looks gorgeous. I've seen appliance dealers who have, to deal with the social distancing, have put their products on a pallet, strapped it down, rolled the pallet out into the parking lot, and that is now their giant sales floor. Or as shown by this picture here, in this particular state, they weren't allowed to have haircuts. Can't go to beauty shops, can't go have fingernails done and toenails done with all the stuff that people do. So this person went to what was a hamburger drive-through, and as you can see, the barber is inside the place. The customer sits outside on a bench. Technically, the barber shop is open. Realistically, customers are not coming into the place fulfilling, shall we say, the letter of the law. And as this barber says, you know what? This is the way we're going to do it. And when the state comes and shuts me down, we'll dream up something else. We'll find another way to be creative. So let's talk about us. Let's talk about how we're going to grow our business. I'm going to borrow some expressions and some statistics from a book called Blue Ocean Strategy. And the question of growing by way of blue ocean or red ocean is this. Red ocean is where we try to take and steal business from somebody else. Okay, so I'm an engine builder and I'm wanting business I'm going to take business from somebody else who's also an engine builder. I'm the same thing, I'm a parts house, and so I'm going to grow my business by taking business from somebody else's part house. That's red strategy. We're not doing anything to grow the industry. Instead, what we're doing is simply stealing business from somebody else, doing what we can to get it to come from them to us. Blue Ocean says, I'm looking to grow the marketplace. How do I grow it? And that's some of the things I want to share with you today. So, in adapting to a strategy like this, the idea of competition becomes irrelevant because you don't let the rules apply to you anymore. Like the baseball story. You're not doing it like everybody else is doing. We're going to do something very differently. And in doing so, with a blue ocean strategy, is that this new concept, this unique concept, is going to be created within what we're already doing. And I'm not going out and saying, let's start doing manicures and pedicures. So let's look at it from perspective. Okay, we sell speed. Whatever your part is in the industry, we're selling speed. Now, we're not the first people to have changed their business, but the ones I'm going to show you right now to prove my point have changed it over a period of time because they saw things that changed to their business and they made a shift. For example, there's a business called Batteries Plus. Now it's Batteries Plus Bulbs. Walk into one of their businesses and see what all they do. My gosh, they'll even fix your cell phone nowadays. They've got a challenge with their name. Like this, people. Boston Market, perhaps you have one in your community. Well, it used to be Boston Chicken. But what occurred was the people who owned the business realized that chicken was not the number one thing they were selling. It was some other meat. And so they changed the name from Boston Chicken to Boston Market because they thought people would go, I don't want to go there because I don't want chicken tonight. Dunkin' Donuts is no longer Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts is Dunkin' because it's going to allow them to expand their menu, just like Domino's. It's not Domino's Pizza anymore. It's just plain Domino's. And then another one, they deal with air. Okay, Dyson, who made those really cool looking stick vacuum cleaners and made in many restrooms those little hand dryers that we've seen in, like, particularly a lot of the airports and other restaurants. All right, Dyson was the company that came up and within a very short period of time after the pandemic started said, we can make ventilators. Okay, so what's the connection to that? Dyson deals with things that move air. That's what a ventilator is. Each of these other businesses that I've shown so far have taken and said, I'm shifting. Why? Because my customer is shifting, or I'm seeing another opportunity. A couple more examples. Netflix. Okay, Netflix. Netflix was originally a company that sent you a DVD to watch a movie, and they had a very unique and different way of you paying for things. Now, after that Netflix has been there for years, what does Netflix look like now? I understand they still have some people out there who are getting the DVDs, but the majority of us are watching Netflix by streaming, and they do all this, their own original TV creations. Right now, as I'm watching social media, they're all talking about Christmas Chronicles 2, which was a unique movie to Netflix that comes out here in a few weeks. How to be different. Another one is Electrolux. Okay, some of us are old enough to remember that when mom and dad had a vacuum cleaner, it basically looked like a little torpedo and it was heavy, like a big chunk of metal. You look at Electrolux today, and they call themselves the Healthy Home Company. They sell vacuums, but they also sell air filters and all kinds of other things. And John Deere. John Deere made that great big green machine that you saw with farmers using. Then they added things for a gentleman farmer, such as you will see their equipment at dealers and even some of the mass merchants selling it. And John Deere even expanded to all kinds of aspects of landscaping supplies. See the comments? See how they fit together? So businesses that make it easy for you as a customer to do business with them can expand their product offering. And there's a relationship that they're building that makes it all the easier for them to transition and add something because people trust them. We saw an example of being able to trust them. It's like getting loyalty up. Read a report once that talked about banks. It said if a person goes into a bank and opens an account, there's a 90% chance the customer will leave and take their business someplace else because sure in the world the bank's going to do something to irritate them. But banks have multiple products and services. And when a bank can sell to you, their customer, 5 or more of the services, checking account, savings account, debit card, credit card, line of credit, car loan, safe deposit box, on and on and on, all the things they've got. When they can get to 5, there is now a 90% chance that you will not leave them, that you will leave all of your business there, as compared to a 90% chance that you'll leave when there's only one thing. I see this statistic as applying to us just as well. So what's the focus? Look at your customer. Don't look at it from the perspective that here's who I am and I'm in the racing industry. Look at it differently as who's the customer. So this picture is a business that's near my home. It's called Cars. Well, when I saw the name, it's called Cars Chain Reaction, I'm going, chain reaction. Wonder what they sell here that deals with chains. Well, they sell bicycles. And they sell all kinds of power equipment. I go, okay, bicycles have got chains, power equipment, chainsaws, I get it. But they also sell grills. And they sell all kinds of supplies for hiking. And then because there's multiple places in the area to play, they sell disc golf. Okay, disc golf, fancy for frisbee. They just can't use the name frisbee. But you go, this doesn't make sense. And I go, it makes perfect sense to the person who is their customer, because their customer is an outdoor-oriented person. So I use these again as examples to say, folks, think about some opportunities here. I mentioned the book, Blue Ocean Strategy. Within the book, they studied 108 companies. 86% of the launches, additions, and changes that businesses made were simply an extension of who they were and what they were already doing, and changes within. Kind of like the way this business Cars did it. Kind of like all the other examples I gave you. Their launches of something new and different was simply an extension of who they already were. 14% of the launches were in the blue territory. Now, it says there's an opportunity because the blue launches produced 38% of the company's revenue. Now think about that. Something that is just an extension of what you've already done, producing 38% of the revenue, but producing 61% of the profit. It's the concept of expanding the thought process past what it is that I do and looking at who it is that I sell to. So, two quick examples that I see. What if we were to take and go past where we are initially, while they may be illegal, what if we sold things for people who were street racers? What would that allow us to do? What if we were to take and sell things for people who are customizing the car that they just bought at the showroom? What if we could take that piece of business and add that more to what we're doing? It requires more than just saying, I'm going to stock some parts. It requires some marketing. It requires some staff education. It takes some work on our part to get people to, so this is the who I am and how this expands across the business to new things. Kind of like Boston Market, kind of like Boston Chicken, right? Now, when we do things, there's a couple of points that I want you to be sure that you consider. The first one is that if we're trying to innovate something, some people have a hard time adapting to it. However, all the things that's happened because of the virus kind of changes that phrasing a bit, because with all the changes that the virus has brought to us, innovation is coming left and right. You think about how many things have changed in these past 8-9 months and will continue to change well into 2021. Being unique in the way that you do things can take and bring us more business. Saying that I'm going to work on the perspective of value. Okay, value to me has a bad connotation to it. It's because value too often is saying it's price. I give you great value. I think about people who sell cars, new and used. It seems like that whole industry can't get around the idea of driving for price. Come see us for the best deals. No matter how cute they are in their phrasing, they seem to, all of them, get into this aspect of how do I price something and how low of a price can I give you. Trying to promote value is the same thing for us. Trying to say that I can give you the same price like a Summit or Rock Auto. Not that you can't. I'm just saying, is that the way we want to build the business? It's saying, let's see if I can't just become the Walmart of the racing industry and do it that way. It's a tough game to have to play. So here's what we're expecting to see as time cruises on here. You're going to continue to hear from the media that people will never do this again, never do that again. Okay, not so. People forget and people forgive. An example was when 9/11 happened and there was this afterthought, very immediate afterthought, that said it's going to be the biggest effect that people are afraid to come out. They won't go places, they won't do things. So we didn't have sports for a couple of days, and yet a week later, there was the President of the United States throwing out a baseball at Yankee Stadium to a sold-out attendance. Don't expect that once something happens, it can never happen again. People forget. So you try an idea, it doesn't work, it didn't go quite right. Okay, you move on. It's like all the world didn't walk away from Coke when they came out with new Coke. There's a lot of noise about it, but people have forgotten all about it, and they forgot about it very, very quickly. Consider the idea of adding hours to your business. So as we got into the pandemic and we started seeing all these signs and notations about limiting the number of people that could come into our speed shop, I also saw this notation that people saying, well, I'm going to start cutting hours. Malls, for example. Saw a mall last week, open 11 a.m. and closing at 6 p.m. 7 hours? And before, they were like 10 in the morning to 9 at night. Seems to me that if I can't have the number of customers in the business, it's not shorten the hours, it's add the hours. Also, we're getting a really big, strong play to the shop local, the neighborhood business aspect. Support your local business. Play this component extremely, extremely strongly. Make appointments available. Tell somebody, hey, you want to come in at 7 in the morning? Make an appointment. Come in. You got a couple of buddies who help you build your car? Come on in. I'll take care of you. You want to come in at 9 o'clock? Fine. Come in. I'll take care of you. Making your sales floor, assuming you've got some form of a showroom if you're a speed shop, making it more spacious and easier. You can't go, well, these are guys. Come on. I go, they're seeing things different in grocery stores. They're seeing things in lots of businesses. And there's a certain feeling that's happening now when things get a little too crunched up, a little too crowded. Notice that you don't see in grocery stores as many as the stack outs and cardboard displays that you saw last Christmas time. They're not there this year. They've got to have the stores looking more spacious. On a showroom floor, use your walls. Use your walls a whole lot more. We know that we lease a building on square footage. Think cubic feet. Going up with stuff. What can I go up to show the merchandise that I have got out there? Let's go to the customer. See this picture in the bottom down here? Okay, so this cute looking trailer here, built by this couple. It's simply a trailer. They bought it from somebody. They had it done with this really neat wraps to it, and they take their business to the customer. Now, I know you can't put a whole speed shop in there, but you can put samples, and on the front of this, which I don't have the other picture of it, they take and have their truck, which they can detach from the trailer and run back to the shop to bring other carpet samples, floor covering samples to this customer, whether they're a commercial account or whether they're residential. So we schedule to go to these people. Ask your customers, like, what days do you work on your race car? I mean, I think about my brother-in-law and his bunch of buddies. Thursday nights is their favorite. They get together. Knowing that, being that intimate with the information about our customers and saying, how about I'll come by your place while your guys are there working on the car, such a day and time, if I can take and make it easier for you to do business. Look at alternate ways to pay. I saw a weird one the other day. It surprised me. I was making a payment for having propane put into our tank here on the mountain. And the lady says, okay, you got your credit card? Yes, ma'am. She says, okay, punch in the buttons on your telephone. Okay, I got it. I'm going to email you the receipt. Never seen that before. People are doing Amazon Pay and Apple Pay and PayPal and all kinds of things. Look at alternates because cash is being discouraged. You've probably already walked into a business that says, hey, we only take debit cards, we only take credit cards at this point. We don't want to see cash. Customers are becoming more and more comfortable with the internet for shopping. I've seen conflicting reports this week. One of them tells me that 80% of all the Christmas shopping is going to be done online. Another one, perhaps not totally conflicting, says that 80% of the people still want to go and do business with somebody face to face. Okay, now I understand that's Christmas shopping. But again, a person shopping, whether they're going to a drugstore, a grocery store, a hardware store, or coming to a speed shop. They're having experiences in other ones, and an experience in one kind of business that they frequent on a regular basis is going to affect another business they visit no matter how frequent they go to it. People will accept all kinds of technology, no matter what you change, what you do, because they were forced to do it in other situations. You got a website, chat features. You want a strong tie to the brick and mortar aspect of your business, but adding chat features to a website so that you can talk to people quickly and easily. So here's another one. This one said 83%. 83% of the people would rather do business with someone face to face, but 88% of the people out there are researching online. So even if you can't put your entire inventory on a website for people to buy, at least have stuff out there that people can look and see. They're all starting out there with a quick search of trying to find your business out there. Make it easy for people to find your business. Look for things like your Yelp review and your Google review and respond to each and every review given to your business. They tell you you're great, Tell them thank you for the compliment, appreciate having you as a customer. They tell you something's wrong, ask them, can they call you? Can you call them? Talk to them and say, I want to make this right. When people look at Yelp and Google reviews and see that a business is interacting, they're going to feel a whole lot more comfortable with that business and want to consider doing business with them. Your phone number should be textable. Okay, so expecting that most of us have had a smartphone, we know how to text, but I know in our business, we have people who text us messages. The sad part is, though, they text us to this landline right here. Fortunately, we have a phone system that if you text our main number, it creates an email and sends it to us. But you should tell your customers, communicate with us any way that you want. You communicate with us. And when they communicate with you in whatever channel, say they text you, don't turn around and say, hey, call me. The customer's already told you that they like talking to you by text. Respond to them with a text. Stay in their own channel of communication until they're ready to transition to something else. With your online shopping that you would allow, lots of images, reviews from customers. Even if you have to go to the manufacturer and grab reviews off of their website, get reviews of the products so that you can help the customer. You have no limit of space. Your description can go on and on and on. If you're going to accept a credit card online, think about the sequence of how you're asking people to do it. And also allow a person to shop as a guest. Don't make them have to sign in and do all this type of stuff. And also notice that when a person goes to shop on your line, be able to tell them right off the bat, I got this, I don't have this. I had an experience the other day that got me to thinking about this. I find the item, I put the quantity in the shopping cart, I start out, here's my name, here's my address, here's my phone number, here's my credit card, here's my billing address, here's the shipping address, and all of a sudden you get this click, oh, I'm sorry, we don't have this in stock. Why didn't you tell me that to start with? Why did I go through all that mumbo jumbo stuff to get to this point where it's not available? Make it to where some people can very easily do shopping on a phone. I look at some people who have Facebook and put products out there and they have a little button. Hey, want to shop now? Click this button. I don't see it often enough. Facebook should be informative, but if a person says, that's it, I'm ready to buy, don't make me go through lots of clicks. Don't tell me click here and then you're going to give me the phone number and now call. I'm ready to buy. Let me buy. Let me buy right now. Everything that you have that is American made, talk about it. Everything you can do to say shop local, do so. And one other point, there's a lot of other businesses out there are hurting in a lot of other ways. Do something with them. So let me give you an example of one I've seen work very well. This person happens to be in our industry. This person runs a very sizable online business. And this person has a friend who sells coffee. Okay, not coffee ready to drink in a cup, but coffee in a bag for you to take and go home and grind the beans and make your pot of coffee. And this person said, I have a problem because I'm trying to sell coffee online and you can't taste my coffee. So he started taking coffee and put them in little tiny bags and put the information in there and gave them to his friend who's here in our industry. And our friend wrote a note with everything that he shipped out. Says, hey, thanks for being a customer. Appreciate you doing business with me. And I'd like to, for your business, for you folks in the shop as you're working on your car, I'd like to offer you a pot of coffee. So here's free from my business. They take it and open up the package. They see it. They make a pot of coffee. They think it's delicious. There's the contact information. And the man who owns the coffee business is going crazy about it. He goes, oh my gosh, you should see how many businesses and individuals are now ordering coffee from me. You're great. You know, how can I take this further? See the idea? With things that relate to us, how can we possibly take and grow our business? Folks, the rules are off. All the rules are gone. We can do things a whole lot differently now. What are we going to do? All the more of this that you can offer, is all the more valuable. Quick delivery, installation where possible, and services. For those of us who have brick and mortar, it gives us a leg up on those that are internet only. I close by reminding you that for brick and mortar people, your conversion rate, number of people who walk into a speed shop, number of people who buy, should be closer to the same. Less people walking around just looking. And that requires sales skills, practicing sales skills to be better. This is so true to what we're dealing with right here, folks. You may be on the right track, but the tracks have moved a little bit, and the train's changed a little bit just as well. And if you decide through the rest of the pandemic and getting ready for the race season 2021, if you're just going to stand there, you're going to get run over. Thanks for your time. See you next year.